CAL FIRE Information Center with the fire situation report for Tuesday, July 5th, 2016. I hope you had an enjoyable 4th of July weekend and did something fun outdoors with your family. I can tell you our crews were very busy. In fact, firefighters across the state were busy with hundreds of new fires. In fact, just this past week, crews have responded to nearly 360 new wildfires across the state. Now, out of those fires, there's still about a dozen large fires. I'll switch right over to our statewide fire map. You can see about a dozen large fires burning up and down the state. 5,200 firefighters from across the state, CAL FIRE, local and county fire departments, and U.S. Forest Service, BLM, and many other federal agencies all battling these fires, working towards containment. Now, the good news that I can report to you is cooler temperatures this week are already aiding our firefighters. In fact, near containment is occurring on many of those fires, but we are definitely getting very close to having full containment on many of those fires. I want to start out with some video here that to show you just how large some of these fires have gotten. This is the Trailhead fire that's been burning really since last week along the middle fork of the American River, just outside of Forest Hill, Auburn, and Georgetown. In fact, it's burning right in the middle of those. The good news, though, is that this fire has been burning in a very remote area, so there's not a lot of structures threatened, but there were evacuations. We'll switch over to our statewide fire map here, and you can see we'll zoom in to the Trailhead fire itself. This is, again, in Placer and El Dorado counties, just right on the border itself of those two counties. Here is Todd Valley. Forest Hill is up here. Volcanoville here. Georgetown to the south. Now, a majority of this fire since day one has really been burning in a northeasterly direction, away from the community of Todd Valley, away from the community of Georgetown. But residents in the Volcanoville were right in the path. Now, there were mandatory evacuations not only on day one in the first couple days in Todd Valley in Placer County, but also along the El Dorado National Forest on the El Dorado County side for many communities right around in this canyon area, including in Volcanoville. Now, as progress has been made on these fires, the good news is, as of yesterday, all of the mandatory evacuations in El Dorado County have been downgraded to advisories. So this fire now 50% contained. A total of 565 acres in total have burned. 50% of this fire has now been contained. So really some good news there. Want to zoom back out and we'll go down to Kern County. That's where another fast-moving fire ignited, this one on July 1st. Again, down in Kern County, south of Bakersfield. This is the Deer Fire. It burned just to the east of Arvin itself. Here is Arvin. You can see right off 223. This fire burned, and show some video as well. You can see it. This fire has charred nearly 1,800 acres. Here's an air tanker making a retardant drop. The good news is this fire over the weekend, the forward spread of it has been stopped, and the fire now is 80% contained. So the evacuations that did occur on that fire all were lifted, and again, good progress being made on this fire. Switching back now to our statewide Google map. You can always find this map on our website at fire.ca.gov. You can always follow along with us as well on these fires. The other fire I want to note is over here in Fresno County. This is the Curry Fire. It started just outside, just southwest of Coalinga itself. Nearly 3,000 acres burned. We'll zoom in just a little bit closer. Here you can see, here is Coalinga itself. This is Highway 198 here, and this is where the fire burned, right on both sides of it. Do have some video here to show you as well on this. This is from our friend at SLO Stringer. He shot the first day of the fire, a very fast-moving fire, mainly in the grass. And grass often this time of year, because it is dead, burns very quickly. Now, the Curry Fire is 2,944 acres. It is 95% contained. So very good progress on this fire. There are still crews working to mop it up and finish that containment. But the big piece here is this fire is pretty much close to full containment. So once again, the Curry Fire, nearly 3,000 acres, 95% contained in total. So some other fires to mention. Again, 14 large fires burning right now across California. You can see we'll start up here in the north, and a fire we've been reporting on for several weeks now. This is the Pony Fire. It's being battled by the U.S. Forest Service on the Klamath National Forest. You can see just to the west of Highway 96. The Pony Fire is 2,800 acres. It is 90% contained, so crews are making very good progress there, again, in Siskiyou County. Another fire to report to you. This is the milepost fire in Humboldt County, burning just north of Hoopa along Highway 96. The milepost fire, according to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, that fire now is very close to containment, about a little under 100 acres, but they are making some good progress on that fire. Now, if we continue to zoom out, we'll show you some of the other large fires that have been burning as we go further down south. So we talked about the Trailhead fire burning in Placer and El Dorado counties. Another fast-moving fire over the weekend was the Appaloosa fire. This fire burned about... you can see here's Angels Camp in Copperopolis, so right in the middle of it. The Appaloosa fire in Calaveras County, just south of Highway 4 here you can see, and it burned 310 acres. The good news today, that fire is 75% contained. So if you lived anywhere in the Calaveras County area, this is the fire that you saw over the weekend. Very close, though, to full containment on the Appaloosa fire. Over on the eastern side, in Mono County, the Marina fire has been battled by the Inyo National Forest with help with CAL FIRE and some of the local fire departments. It's now 654 acres, and that fire is now 95% contained. Here's Lee Vining. In the first couple of days, there was a threat to Lee Vining itself, as well as Highway 395 was shut down. You can see here is Mono Lake. That fire, again, nearing containment. So once again, that is the Marina fire, and it is 654 acres and 95% contained. So as I mentioned, a lot of these fires are very close to full containment. So crews are making very good progress. Shelley wants an update on the Pine Fire. We will be down in the Pine Fire in just a moment. But over in Madera County, zoom into the Broken Fire. This started yesterday right off Highway 41, just outside of Coarsegold. So here you can see Coarsegold itself in Madera County. Now, the Broken Fire did burn 103 acres. This fire had a lot of potential. That's because over in some of these higher elevation areas just outside of Coarsegold, that's where we're seeing significant tree mortality. So there was a lot of risk that this fire continued to grow into the mountains. It could get into those areas where all those dead trees are occurring, and a fire in these dead trees is going to burn very quickly and do a lot of damage. The good news here, though, that I can report to you is the Broken Fire is 103 acres and 80% contained. So very good progress made there in Madera. Now, as we continue to move further south through the Central Valley here, I talked about the in Fresno County already, the Curry Fire, but just to the north of the Curry Fire was the Frame Fire. It started relatively in the same area. This is Highway 198. This fire just started west of Coalinga, so Coalinga right over here. And the Frame Fire burned 145 acres. Now, today, it is 25% contained, but crews are making very good progress on that. There may be some traffic delays on Highway 198 if you are taking it, so be very careful. You've got to ensure that if crews are working along the highway, you take precaution and slow down. Now, Pamela had a great question. What's the main cause of these fires? Well, 95% of the fires we respond to are actually caused by the activity of people. That's why it's so important that everybody outdoors do their part to prevent sparking a fire, because most fires are preventable. Now I want to zoom in a fire here that we've talked about quite a bit. This is the Erskine Fire near Lake Isabella. This is the most destructive fire that we've had this season, one of the most destructive fires in Kern County's history, and already one of the largest fires this year. The Erskine Fire is very close to full containment. In fact, the fire is now 95% contained. In total, over 48,000 acres were burned here. Over 200 homes and other structures were destroyed by this fire, so this was a very fast-moving fire. It started here in Lake Isabella and quickly burned to the east and started to go into the southeasterly direction. Now, again, crews have been able to stop the spread of this fire and are still out there doing mop-up. 95% containment on the Erskine Fire, so very good progress. Just to the south of it is the Deer Fire, which we talked about. Now, over here, this was one of the questions Pam had asked about the Pine Fire. This is burning on the Los Padres National Forest. Here you can see the perimeter of it. Here's Highway 33, if you're familiar with this area. I'll zoom out just a little bit more, just to kind of give you some reference points. Here is Santa Barbara itself. Here is Interstate 5 as it goes down into Southern California, Santa Clarita right here. So 126 to the south, 33, I-5, just to give you some perspective. Again, nowhere close to these highways. In fact, this is in a very remote area of the Los Padres National Forest. The Pine Fire is now just over 1,800 acres. According to the U.S. Forest Service, it is 15% contained. So still a lot of activity there. If you need more for that fire, visit the Los Padres National Forest. They can give you some more details on that. A fire that we've reported on now for a number of weeks is the Sherpa fire that burned just to the west of Goleta. The Sherpa fire still remains 96% contained at nearly 7,500 acres. Crews are still out there just making sure all those hot spots are put out. So there still is some activity going on down there. A couple other fires that I want to just zoom in here on is the San Gabriel complex, just north of the 210 freeway. 2 fires burning just north of Duarte and Azusa. These fires in total have burned just under 5,400 acres. They are in total 96% contained. So according to the Angeles National Forest and LA County Fire, they are very close to full containment on these fires. One other fire that I do want to note is one that was contained. That was a very fast-moving fire. This was the border fire burning near Potrero in San Diego County. It is fully contained. Again, that is the good news here. All the evacuations were lifted last week. The border fire burned just over 7,600 acres. You can see here's Tecate, here's Potrero and Campo. This was a very fast-moving fire. Very similar to some of the fires we've been seeing all summer long, fast-moving, and able to do a lot of destruction just because of how dry conditions are. So it's very important if you are outdoors, you take that precaution that you need because, again, 14 fires still burning. Firefighters, we don't need any additional fires. Now, we were asked for an additional update on the Trailhead fire. As I mentioned at the beginning, the Trailhead fire is 50% contained. It has it has burned nearly 5,600 acres right on the Placer and El Dorado County boundary. This is the Middle Fork of the American River, Todd Valley, Forest Hill, Georgetown, Auburn, Tier to the west. Good containment on this fire, 50% contained. All mandatory evacuations have been downgraded now to voluntary. Now, Justin had a question. How many firefighters total? Justin, a great question. On all 14 of these large fires, there are over 5,200 firefighters from across the state that have been working to contain these fires. And that's not to mention the thousands of more that are responding to the hundreds of fires that ignite every week. If you missed us at the top of the show, we talked about the new fires last week. There were over 350 new wildfires all across California. So firefighters have been very busy, and that's why it's so important that everyone do their part to prevent sparking a fire. Now, we did get a question, what should you do if you are in your house and there's a fire? Well, you should always be prepared. Have a plan in place. That is why we'll go through a few steps here in a moment about having an emergency kit and what you can do to prepare ahead of a fire, and then we'll talk about some of those evacuation tips. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit about this week's weather. Now, if you haven't noticed, we are starting to see some more moderate temperatures, especially after a week of triple-digit temperatures. We're going to see a little bit more moderate conditions. In fact, many areas, we're going to be down in the 80s, along the coast in the 60s. Even later in the week, it's going to cool down even further. So definitely going to be a more mild week for weather conditions. Southern California could see highs in the 80s. In the inland areas, we could see some areas of 100s, but that is the desert in the summer, so that is to be expected. Now, humidity to report, a little bit higher than we saw last week. That is good for sure in the teens and single digits in some parts of Southern California, but you can see here relatively humidity is going to be higher. That means more moisture, water content in the air, which is good because that definitely helps reduce the potential of a spark igniting into a wildfire or the slowing down the spread of a fire. Now, the winds this week, we are going to see some pockets of winds. Everything in green here, this is winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour. Even some areas of the mountain foothills, San Diego, as well as Riverside and in Kern County, we could see some winds up to 45 miles an hour. So it is going to be gusty in some areas, especially in the mountains and the eastern Sierra. So definitely be cautious. But overall, our fire conditions this week are expected to be moderate. But as I mentioned earlier, we still need your help to prevent sparking those fires because even with temperatures in our favor, that's going to help us with the 14 fires that are burning. But we need your help in helping ensure that new fires don't start. So to answer the question, Noretta asked, what can we do to help firefighters? Evacuation early is always important, but preventing those fires from sparking in the first place is critical. So back on what you can do to be prepared. Have a preparedness kit. Whether it's an earthquake, a flood, any type of natural disaster, but especially wildfire, have a preparedness kit so that if you are evacuated, you have all those belongings you need. You can see here on this graphic, water. You want to have at least 3 days supply of water for everyone in your family. So don't just throw a couple of water bottles. Make sure you have at least a gallon of water per person per day. And again, we recommend 3 days worth of supplies. Make sure you have enough food that's non-perishable. If you're going to have cans, make sure you have a can opener to get into it. Pet food, first aid, important documents. A lot of times people don't put away their passport or their birth certificates. Put those all in one location so they're in your preparedness kit so that if something happened, you can just grab that kit, throw it in your car, and evacuate. And that's the key. Evacuate early when asked. Remember the 6 Ps in case you need to evacuate. Those 6 Ps include people and pets, papers and important documents, prescriptions, photos and irreplaceable memorabilia, personal computers like hard drives and disks, and don't forget your power cords. And lastly, plastics. Always have an ATM or a credit card so that you can pay for any items you may need. But again, remember those 6 Ps when it comes to evacuation. Now, you can find all this stuff, the supply kit, the 6 Ps, and any other details you need on how you can be prepared for a fire by visiting our website, readyforwildfire.org. That's where you can always make sure you are ready for fire because it is definitely fire season here. Now, for a complete list of all the fires burning in California and to stay up with all the new details, make sure to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. You can always visit our website at fire.ca.gov. That's the latest on the fire situation here in California. I'm Daniel Berlant. Have a fire-safe week.